What's up, people? YouTube. Me and the Metal Mike coming at you. Episode 2 of me and Metal Mike's Drummers discussions, biography. And today, for episode 2 live, we are going to talk about the mighty Phil Rudd of AC/DC. Underrated drummer. Definitely solid backbeat, solid groove, solid foundation for rock drumming. And I'm just going to go over his career and why he's such a big influence on so many drummers. And why we're going to talk about some of his drum kits and some of his drum gear he used throughout the years. And we're just going to talk about Phil Rudd and why he is the perfect sound for AC/DC. So let's get going. Phil Rudd, born in Australia, was in several bands before AC/DC. I think in '73 he was in a band called the Colored Bulls, which later in '74 they reformed and became Buster Brown with Anderson was the lead vocalist for Buster Brown, and Phil Rudd was on drums for the first studio album, which he's credited to recording all the drum tracks on the first studio album. In '74, they did some shows. Phil, I think, did some of the early live shows in '74 with Buster Brown. At that time, he was using his first drum kit he attained, which was, I believe, a premier kit that supposedly Phil Rudd has said that he has painted quite a few times. And around this time, I think Phil Rudd was using Pisces cymbals, I believe. But there's not many photos of that premier kit with Phil on drums. He's been on some other drum kits. We'll get into that. But yeah, Phil was in Buster Brown, and supposedly he left the band because supposedly Buster Brown wanted to go into more of a pop rock direction, and Phil was not into that. Supposedly, since Phil Rudd was one of the original members in forming Buster Brown in '73, '74, supposedly he and Angry got into a disagreement with the band's direction. Phil wanted the band to go into a more solid rock and roll direction, and Angry and the band wanted the band to go into more of a bop direction. So Phil left in '74. Supposedly, the story goes Phil Rudd saw an ad in the newspaper in Melbourne saying local Australian band looking for a drummer and make it big. That's how Phil Rudd supposedly joined AC/DC. And from there on, Phil's on the first album, not High Voltage. He's on TNT. Supposedly, the band re-recorded High Voltage, redid the album titled TNT, which is Phil Rudd's debut on the album. And at that time he was using, I believe, from what the sources I'm reading in my book here and what I had written down in early '75, real early '75, he was using a Ringo Starr Ludwig kit with AC at that time. Then he switched leads. Then, right before they started going on tour for TNT in '75 and Dirty Deeds, Phil Rudd got his first, I believe he got his first sponsored kit, which was a Slingerland root beer sparkle kit. I don't know the sizes, the dimensions, but I know it was a Slingerland kit. He used that for a lot of the early days of AC/DC. And, Phil Rudd, early on in AC/DC, his drumming was pretty good. He would do some good drum fills here and there, especially when you hear those early live versions of Jailbreak and High Voltage. You could hear Phil Rudd doing some triplet stuff over the toms and his snare drum early on. he stopped doing that later on in AC/DC, but early on he was on fire with the band. Um, he locked in well. He sounded great with Mark Evans when Mark was in the band for that early first lineup. Phil Rudd locked right on in with Malcolm and locked right on in with Mark Evans. And you know what? Give credit where credit's due. I think Phil Rudd gets a lot of shit, just like how Ringo gets kind of forgotten. I think Phil Rudd, in my opinion, is possibly the greatest, most pure sounding rock drummer to come onto the scene at that time. There are many other drummers out there. You have Bill Ward, John Bonham, Cozy Powell, Ian Pace, Ringo himself, all these great drummers. Then you have Phil Rudd coming out here playing his balls off, playing fast rock and roll with a swing and a swagger to it. It's just dirty old swampy rock and roll at its best. And I think Phil Rudd's one of those early drumming pioneers that came out of Australia too, because not many bands came out of Australia. Not many drummers at that time in the early '70s came out of Australia. So you got to think Phil's one of the pioneers coming out of Australia, doing the damage. But yeah, Phil was on the albums. Then you would go into Dirty Deeds, Thunder Cheap, and Phil Rudd still had a good drum sound on that album. And like I said, he kept the Pisces cymbals with him. I think there's some stuff where he mixed in some Zildjians. I know during Dirty Deeds, Thunder Cheap, I have written down here that he had a Rocket Ride cymbal. I think it was either a custom purchase. Phil got a Rocket Ride Pisces cymbal, which you can clearly see it because Phil Rudd only used to ride cymbal on the Dirty Deeds album on more than one track, and you can see it on his drum setup. There is definitely a ride cymbal on Phil Rudd's drum setup in 1975 and '76. After that, the ride cymbal's gone. So yeah, and then we go into '76. Like I said, pumping out good drumming stuff. He has the same cymbal setup and the same drum sound, swingling drums. There's supposedly he has a Pisces 602 cymbal, and then a bunch of early 2002s, and that same 15-inch hi-hats he used. So and then of course this time he had that weird. He had kind of in '75 and '76. Phil Rudd said that Ian Pace was one of his influences, and you can see it because at this time period, Phil Rudd has that weird tom setup where it's two toms and then a third rack tom above the two toms and then two floor toms, and kind of that's that Ian Pace style drum setup, which is one of his influences. So why not? Then in '77, Phil Rudd leaves Slingerland drums, goes straight to Sonar drums, and gets an acrylic Sonar kit early on, and he's stayed with Sonar ever since. And this is right around the time when the band started going to the studio. Let There Be Rock, which is probably Phil's pedigree is Let There Be Rock, and just playing a fast up-tempo drum beat, locking in with Malcolm's guitar and Mark's guitar. And then, which is weird because Mark Evans would leave the band midway during the Let There Be Rock tour. Cliff Williams comes in, and I think this is where Phil Rudd finds his real groove with AC/DC. When Cliff Williams comes in, it feels like there's an added bass to Phil's drumming. There's an added mechanism to Phil's drumming with Cliff's bass playing. and then Malcolm's playing even harder. Phil's playing even harder, and I think it's just a great drum sound on Let There Be Rock. We go right into the next album, Power Age. Another underrated album for Phil. I think it's some of Phil's best drum work during the Bond era for AC/DC, because kicked in the teeth, what a barn burner. What's next to the moon? Supposedly Phil Rudd did both songs in one take, studio take. Um, I'm not going to dive in too much, but I'm going to jump to Flicking the Switch, because this time Phil was supposedly on pills and on alcohol, and supposedly that was due to Bon Scott's death after Bon died. Supposedly, from what the band said, Phil fell off the wagon, which is sad. Then him and Malcolm got into a fist fight during the studio recordings of Flick of the Switch, and that's how Phil got sacked. And, he retired to New Zealand, and it's the last time we would hear from Phil and AC/DC. And I think Flick of the Switch, um, has a really good raw drum sound on Flick of the Switch, and I think that's Phil Rudd's highest peak. Flick of the Switch. Just listen to that pounding drum sound on Landslide, Deep in the Hole, title track, Guns for Hire, because then you would have Simon Wright come in, and the band didn't have a good solid drum sound again until Phil returns. Phil Rudd returns in 1993, 94. Comes in and does Ball Breaker, and it's a return to form. I think Ball Breaker is a fantastic record for what it is. It's a good, solid drumming record for the band. There's no clunkers. And Phil would stay solid with the band until Rocker Bust. And that's when Phil really falls off the wagon. We're not going to go into too much detail, but yeah, it's sad to see where, Phil Rudd is right now. And it's sad because, man, addiction is hard. Um, but for all his faults, I think Phil Rudd is a fantastic drummer. And I think he gets a lot of shit because a lot of people and a lot of today's metal drummers will say, "Oh, Phil Rudd, oh, that's easy to play. Oh, it's easy." Motherfucker, it ain't easy at all. Trust me, I had a hard time playing to AC/DC. Phil's one of my idols. It ain't easy. Let me see you guys play Let There Be Rock for 18 minutes live without changing the tempo. Tell me that's not easy to play. Or play a lot of AC/DC's upper fast tempo songs on drums. Tell me if you can play it note for note. Exactly. I think Phil Rudd's a genius on drums. I think he's very underrated. But yeah, definitely leave a comment in the live section. If anybody wants to join in, I can gladly send an invite link. Let me go on the Messenger. Maybe I can send a links to some of my friends out there. We're talking. Who wants to talk about Phil Rudd and why he's just a one of a kind drummer? Just just he's in the same boat. He's in the same boat as John Bonham. He's in the same boat as Cozy Powell. He's in the same boat as Ringo Starr. I think Phil Rudd's just one of those guys that just came at the right time in the 70s for a solid foundational drumming sound. And I think Phil Rudd's just one of those guys that came onto the scene at the right time period and did the damage, delivered the good, was delivering the good. Why can't I share the link? Hold on, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to share a link, and frankly, StreamYard isn't working. Not StreamYard, Messenger isn't working on my laptop for some reason. I don't know why. I don't want to switch over to my phone to share the link. So I don't know. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know why it's slow now all of a sudden. Load up. Why is Messenger not loading? Load up. Do I have to do this on my fucking phone? Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Let me figure this out. I can't. It's not working. Why is it not working? Why is Messenger not working on my laptop? I don't fucking understand this. There we go. I just don't get it sometimes. So fucking slow. So fucking slow. Why are you so slow? Yeah, I don't know why the invite link's not letting me send stuff. I don't know. You would think technology would be fast and easy. But yeah, going back to Phil Rudd, yeah, he's one of the best rock drummers. I think. I think he has such a unique sound that without Phil Rudd, if AC/DC would have gotten another drummer, I don't think they would have lasted as long. I don't think they would have sold as much records. Yeah, why is I don't know why Messenger's not working. For there we go. All right. All right. I'm trying to send a link to everyone, so please, guys, be patient in the comment section. Sorry if I'm stalling. Oh, yeah. Yeah, why is it not fucking working? I don't want to. All right. All right. Well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why Messenger's not working or StreamYard's not letting me share the links to everyone. So it looks like no links for y'all today. I'm sorry. Ain't my fault. Uh, so yeah. I was thinking of doing that. I might do a hangout stream later. So if anybody wants to join later on, I'm going to a concert tonight, I think. So that's gonna be don't know if I'm going or not. I purchased tickets and they have not came in the mail yet. And I want to fucking go to the KK Freeze concert, but I haven't received the tickets in the mail yet, and I didn't get the notification. Anyway, guys, I think we're gonna end it here. So Phil Rudd is just one of those guys that's just a great drummer, and yeah, he deserves a lot of credit, I think. All right, till next time. Stay tuned. There might be a hangout stream on it, make around 5 o'clock. So stay tuned till next time, people. I'm out.